Guys, how's it going? This is Red Wizard here, and today we're coming back with another list to take a look at. So I've got my sidekick, the pitbull, with me today. Actually, I have both. We have a puppy, pitbull, also. So he's lurking somewhere. He's being quiet right now, so we're gonna try to get this done while he's passed out. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Keep your fingers crossed. So the next couple of lists that we're gonna take a look at are lists that you probably have seen or heard of before. I'm just going to do kind of my spin on them, how I like to run them. Alright, got pit bulls, wives, everybody's trying to be in this video. So okay, so like I said, we're going to do a couple of lists that you've probably seen before, but I kind of run them a little bit different, so we'll talk through them. And this way, if you're not familiar with the list, you'll know this is one that's out there. You might see. So we're gonna start off with our battalion, and we need to go Nurgle. We don't need that just yet. So let's go down here. What do we do? Oh, faction. Demons and Nurgle, and this is going to be Threefold Befoulment list. So this is 3 great unclean ones, or in this case Rodriguez and 2 great unclean ones. So let's talk a little bit about what the battalion's going to give us, and then we'll go into what the great unclean ones can do. So the requirements for this one are 3 great unclean ones. And the abilities we get are Hungry for the Plague God's Praise, which allows you to reroll hit rolls of 1 for models from this battalion while they are within 14 inches of another model from this battalion. And in addition, reroll wound rolls of 1 for models from this battalion while they are within 14 of 2 other models from this battalion. So basically, we're going to want to keep these big boys together. So 7's a sacred number of Nurgle, so 14 inches. If you keep them within 14 inches of all 3, you get to reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1. And the way both of these bonuses from the battalion work, that's probably what we're going to be trying to do, is keep them close together. Alright, so the other ability we get is a Plague Storm of Nurgle. If a model from this battalion successfully casts a Plague Wind spell when it is within 7 inches of another model from this battalion, and the number of wounds inflicted by the spell is increased from D3 to 2D3. If it's within 7 of 2 models of this battalion, then it goes up to 3D3. So that's a pretty significant damage boost. But keeping these guys within 7 inches of each other is going to be harder than you think, probably, because this is going to be the bulk of our army here. So let's go ahead and drop these guys in just to get an idea of what kind of points we're investing. Then we'll go through each one. So we got one great unclean one, 2 great okay, sorry. And then we want Rodriguez. So where are we points wise? Whoo! Alright, so just the battalion and these guys are over 1,000 points, right? So this is the heart of our army for sure. So let's go through and see what we're going to do with these great unclean ones. So the idea here, at least how I like to run it, is I like to run one real melee heavy, one that's kind of like a buff wagon dude. Then Rodriguez has his own unique stuff, right? And I think that's pretty common for this battalion in most of the list that run these guys. So we're gonna say we're gonna make our melee one our general, and we're gonna give him the Plague Flail and Massive Bile Sword. So let's take a second real quick to kind of run through those. I'm not gonna go through all the weapons because we're gonna get through most of them as we go through. So we're just gonna stick to these 2 right now. So all of the great unclean, or the 2 great unclean ones here, have a 7-inch shooting attack, Noxious Bile. It's D6 attacks, 3s to hit, and 2s to wound, but the 2 to wound is on a damage table, so it's going to get worse as he takes damage. -2 rend and 1 damage. So both of our fat boys here have that. Then they all, well, except for Rod, I guess the 2 unnamed ones, both also have the Host of Nurglings attack, which is a 1-inch range. Oh, the shooting attack is 7-inch range. I don't know if I mentioned that. So the Nurglings is 3 attacks, 5s and 5s, 1 damage. So that's not going to do much, but it's fun to have Nurglings jumping around on the base. So there you go. All right, so this one's going to be our melee dude here. The Plague Flail has 2-inch range. He's got 3 attacks, 3s and 2s. The 2 for the wound is on the damage table also. -1 rend, 2 damage. So it's pretty good, right? And the Massive Bile Sword, 2 inches, 3 attacks to start with, but the attacks are on the damage table, so it's going to go down. 4s to hit, 3s to wound, -2 rend. -2 rend and 3 damage. So it's pretty good. I mean, but it's not great, right? It's pretty good, but not great. What makes it a lot better is both these unnamed nurglings. Great and clean ones have the command ability, Grandfather's Joy. You can use this command ability. Oh my goodness, excuse me. In the start of your hero phase, or not in the start, sorry, just in your hero phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Nurgle demon unit within 21 of this model, add 1 to the attacks of all the melee weapons. So you're going to get +1 attacks to all those profiles that we just went through. Alright, so let's go through. They got a 5-inch move, they got 16-inch. I can't win today. I can't win, and I'm not editing any of this out, so no one watches this crap anyway. There's like 2. You know what? I appreciate you 2 guys that have been watching all these videos. I love you, because you're the only ones that watch. Anyway, sorry for the interruption there. So back to, let's go. I jumped into the stat lines, which is cool and everything, but let's go through kind of what each of these 2 guys do. In fact, I think all 3 of them are the same here, so we'll include Rod, I guess, in this too. So they got a 5-inch move, they got 16 wounds, they got a 4-up save, and 10 bravery. Okay, that's their stat line. So now for these 2 guys, let's go over kind of some of their abilities here. So they got hold on a second, let me take a look at this. Professionalism, that's what I strive for. I'm kind of making this video on the fly between doing some other things, so sorry in advance if it's not to the fine standard that you're used to from the channel. Anyway, so I'm trying to look to see what everybody has versus what Rodriguez has. So all 3 of them have the Blubber and Bile ability, which is roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to this model. On a 5-up, the wound is negated. In addition, if it's a 6-up and it's a combat phase, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all of its attacks have been made. So it's basically a disgusting resilient with a little bonus, right? Corpulent Mass, all 3 have this one. In your hero phase, you can heal D3 wounds that have been allocated to this model. Mountain of Loathsome Flesh, all 3 also have this one. Roll a dice for each enemy unit that is within 1 inch of this model. After this model completes a charge move, on a 4-up, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So that's it for their all 3 shared stuff. The 2 here have a Plague Wind spell. These guys can both cast 2 spells and try to unbind 2. They know Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Plague Wind, right? So Plague Wind has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick a point on the battlefield within 14 inches of the caster and draw an imaginary straight line between it and the closest part of the caster. Each unit that's crossed by the line suffers D3 mortal wounds. Nurgle units instead can heal D3 mortal wounds. So this is the spell that's going to be affected by our Threefold Befoulment, right? So what we said, if you're within 7 inches of 1, it goes up to 2d3. 7 inches of 2, it goes up to 3d3. Alright, so now that we're all thoroughly confused because I did things out of order, let's go back to our big fat guy up here. Okay, so he's got his Plague Flail and his Massive Sword, and we've made him our general. And the reason we made him our general is because we want to give him Pestilent Breath. So, Pestilent Breath at the start of your shooting phase, pick one enemy unit within 6 inches of your general. Roll a dice for each model in that unit that is within 6 inches of your general. The unit suffers 1 mortal wound for each roll of 5 up. So, this guy we're going to want to get up in people's business, so there's a little bit extra damage he can do there. And we're also going to give him... Alright. I should really re-record this video, but I'm not going to do it. Sorry that the pitbull had a little fit there. Okay, so back to the video. So we're going to give him Pestilent Breath, just to give him a little bit extra damage. We're also going to give him an artifact here. And give him the Endless Gift. So the Endless Gift, now I'm going to turn some pages right by the microphone. The Endless Gift. Whenever this demon is injured, this is the flavor text. At the start of the battle shock phase, roll a dice for each wound that was allocated to this model during the same turn. On a 4-up, the wound is healed. So he's pretty tough now. You know, he's already got a way to heal himself on his War Scroll. Now he's got the Endless Gift. He's got a little bit extra damage with Pestilent Breath. He's going to be smashing into people. He's got the Mountain of Loathsome Flesh. So now he can boost his own attacks, right, with his command ability. So now he's looking pretty scary. He's going to be our melee boy. Alright, so now this guy is going to be our buff dude. So, he is going to have... Everybody likes buff dudes, don't lie. Alright, so we want to give him the Bile Blade and the Doomsday Bell, and we'll talk about that right now. So, instead of the Plague Flail and the Bile Sword that we went over earlier, the Bile Blade, 2-inch range, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 1 damage. Doomsday Bell, 2 inches, 4 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1, 1 damage. Still has the Nurgling crap attacks and the Noxious Bile shooting attack. Now, these weapons are pretty bad, right? Blah. But they both have pretty cool abilities. So, Putrid Offering. If this model has a Bile Blade and attempts to cast or unbind a spell, you can say that it's using the blade to hook out some of its guts. If you do so, this model immediately suffers 1 mortal wound. But you can add 1 to your casting and unbinding rolls. So he has an in War Scroll +1 to cast. Okay, so that's pretty good. So you're going to be doing that every turn that you cast something, pretty much, to give yourself +1. You're going to heal the wound back with your ability there. Okay, so he also has the Bell, Reverberating Summons. If a Nurgle unit begins its movement phase within 7 of any models with a Doomsday Bell, add 3 to its move characteristics till the end of the phase. Ooh, that's pretty good. So now they're at an 8-inch move, right? Because they're all going to be staying together. So now you got the big boys picking up a little speed. I mean, they don't look like they're going to be that fast. So, we forgot to give him a spell. We'll do that in a second. So, he's kind of broadcasting out all our buffs, right? So he's our buff dude. He's got his spell also. He's going to be probably our main caster of Plague Wind. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. He's also going to get our other artifact. Alright, we get 2. 1 for being cool and playing Sigmar, and 1 for having a battalion. And we're going to give him the Tome of 1,000 Poxes. So, the Tome of 1,000 Poxes gives you another plus to cast, okay? So, add 1 to casting rolls for any spells from the lore of Nurgle that they attempt to cast. So, anything that is in the lore of Nurgle, which is everything except for what's on... I don't think the Plague Wind is not part of it, and Mystic Shield and Arcane Bolt. So the 1 to change the wheel, I believe, is, and the spells that we're going to give him here are also part of the Nurgle. I don't think the Plague Wind is. Maybe I could be wrong on that. Alright. Sorry, the Pitbull is out of control today. She's protecting the house from invisible threats. Okay, so we got him the Tome of 1,000 Poxes. So now he's got +2 to cast. Okay, so he's going to be casting our spells here pretty reliably, right? Sorry. It's been. I'm gonna put this in the bloopers reel, in the blooper video. Anyway, so we got the Tome of 1,000 Poxes. We got our Bioblade. So that's +2 to cast potentially. Got our Doomsday Bell, making everybody faster. So now let's look at the spells for these two guys. So for our buff guy, he's gonna kind of be, he can get in combat, but he's more of the support, right? So he's gonna kind of hang out, try to stay within 7 of the other two guys, and he's gonna cast Favored Poxes, which is a spell with a casting value of 7. Successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 14 of the caster that is visible to them, subtract 1 from hit, wound, and save rolls for that unit until the caster moves, attempt to cast a spell, or is slain. So basically what you're going to try to do is cast Favored Poxes on a unit, and then you're going to destroy it with the melee guy or Rodriguez, right? That way this guy's freed up to move around or do whatever. -1 to hit, wound, and save is pretty devastating for most units. Okay, so you're gonna cast Play Win with this guy probably, and then you're gonna cast Favored Poxes after that on a unit that's gonna get trashed by one of the other two guys. And it's Nurgle lore, so you got -1 or +1 to cast here and +1 to cast there, so you got down to a 5 instead of a 7. Okay. All right. So now for our melee beastie, he's gonna get a spell too, and we're gonna give him Sumptuous Pestilence. Okay. Because we want him to be in there fighting anyway, and this is a spell that does damage around in the area around him. Okay, so casting value of 6. Each enemy unit within 7 of the caster suffers 1 mortal wound. Units with more than 5 models suffer D3 mortal wounds. So just another way for him to do a little bit of damage, right? So he's got Pestilent Breath and his shooting attack in the shooting phase. Then he's gonna smash with this. So he's gonna smash, but he's gonna give another little bit of damage here in the spell phase. Maybe he'll cast Arcane Bolt or Mystic Shield himself or whatever, and then he's gonna smash him in the combat phase, right? And he's gonna heal with an endless gift. So he's getting scarier and scarier, right? Okay, so there's our 2 unclean ones. Great unclean ones, I should say. Now let's take a look real quick at what Rodriguez, the Rainfather. Oh, real quick before we hold on. Alright, just for all the madness in this video, I'm going to record another one. Right, I'm going to give you guys a 2-for-1 special, because this one has been plagued with many interruptions. And I'm way too lazy to go back and edit everything out. So, one thing I was going to mention real quick is you could also give this guy the Wither Stave. That's a popular artifact to give him as well. So that one is enemy units reroll 6s to hit, I think, within 12 inches of him. So a little debuff. I like to do this one better because I'm more in control of it versus where on the reroll to 6s you're dependent on your enemy to be doing something to you. I guess I don't know. Maybe that sounds stupid, but I prefer the tome. Okay, so Rodriguez. So Rodriguez has melee weapons, Gnarl Rod, 3-inch range, 5 attacks, 2s to hit, but that's on a damage table, 3s to wound, -1, 2 damage, Fanged Maul, and then his belly, 1-inch range, D3 attacks, 3 to hit, 2 to wound, but that's on a damage table, -2 rend and 2 damage, and he has a host of Nurglings, also 3 attacks, 5s and 5s, 1 damage. So he's actually pretty decent in melee, which might be surprising. I think he might be. I think I saw somebody talking about statistically he was the best melee choice of the Great and Clean ones. I mean, we've buffed this guy up to be probably better than him, but he's no slouch in melee. So don't be afraid to stick him in there. Alright, so he also has a few unique abilities here. So, Stream of Brackish Filth. In your hero phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit that is within 6 of Radagast. On a 4-up, the enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Enemy units that can fly suffer D3 mortal wounds on a 6 instead of a 4. So, like I said, he can get in melee and get fisticuffs too, right? And he's got a little bit of extra damage there. He also has a unique spell, so it's the Deluge of Nurgle. Deluge of Nurgle has a casting value of 7. If it's cast for each roll that roll 7 dice for each roll that equals or beats the value shown on his damage table. You can pick an enemy unit that's visible to the caster. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the spell affects more than one enemy unit, you must pick a different enemy unit, so you can't just stack, on something until it's dead, unfortunately. That would be cool. But it starts off at a 4-up and goes to a 6 on the damage table. Uh-oh. That was a puppy. Hold on. He is definitely a servant of Nurgle, so maybe he was drawn by our conversation. Hey, get out of there. He's in the trash right now. Alright, we're gonna try this with the puppy in here. I mean, I don't know how much more unprofessional the video could get anyway, so we're just gonna we'll let him munch on some trash while we do our thing. Not really. Okay, so we're gonna give Radagast a spell, and we're gonna give him the only one left. We don't need to stack anything, and all these are pretty good. So we're gonna give him Glorious Afflictions. Has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 21 of the caster. That unit's move characteristic and any run or charge rolls made for them are halved until your next hero phase. In addition, units that can normally fly cannot do so until your next hero phase. So that's pretty potent, actually. So, he, especially since you got 1,000 points of your army in these 3 guys, keeping stuff away from them is not a bad idea. So you can try to slow down some guys before they get in and kind of pick your targets. We got actually one more spell we're going to add, and then we'll kind of talk about how I like to use these dudes. And it's going to be an endless spell. So, can you guess? All right, it's a little bit later on. Sorry for the puppy. I don't know. We're gonna see how this turns out. I'm probably gonna have to actually edit this. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Anyway, so back to the list. We are gonna get a spell portal. So real quick, let's go over what the spell portal does. If a wizard successfully casts a spell while they are within 1 inch of an umbral spell portal, the range and visibility of the spell can be measured from the other spell portal model from this endless spell. So there's two models, right? I guess we should start with the actual summoning of it. It'll make a little bit more sense. So, summon Umbral Spell Portal has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, set up the first spell portal model wholly within 12 of the caster. Then set up the second spell model wholly within 18 inches of the first. So you cast a spell, put the first one down within 12 inches, and then you can set the other one up 18 inches away from that one. Okay. So, if you cast a spell when you're within 1 inch, you can use the other portal, not the one you're 1 inch away from, when you're drawing range. Okay. Also, if an predatory endless spell finishes a move within 6 inches of a spell portal, remove it from the battlefield and set it up anywhere within 6 inches of the other spell portal. So, basically, the endless spell will go through the portal to the other one. So you can do some cool things with that. We're not going to do anything like that in this list, but if your opponent has a predatory endless spell, you maybe watch out, or you can move it through when you get control of it. So the reason we like the spell portal is that now our spells for the Deluge of Nurgle spell and the Plague Wind spell have a huge range now, right? Because you can cast them through the spell portal. So that really helps us out a lot. Alright, so the spell portal is going to help us out with the range on our spells. Don't forget we're going to get our +1 to hit and wound from our befoulment, and we're going to boost our damage on our plague wind spell, right? Which now has some significant range. So the plan here is going to be these guys are going to have to get out and shake a leg, right? They're going to have to get out and do some fighting. You're not going to be able to sit back on objectives with these guys. This is the main fighting force of your army. So your buffed up spell guy here is going to be casting your spell portal and plague wind normally, right? And then after the spell portal is up, he's going to put favored poxes on an enemy that these guys are in combat with. Rodriguez is going to be casting his spell on his war scroll, Deluge of Nurgle, I think it's called, and Glorious Afflictions to keep threats away, slow them down. Then you've got your melee heavy guy who's going to be casting Sumptuous Pestilence, do a little bit extra damage to the guys he's in combat with, and also Mystic Shielding himself, or maybe throw an Arcane Bolt around depending on what's going on, right? So another thing we'll talk about real quick here is the Feculent Narwhal. So that's Nurgle scenery piece. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it a little bit, but let me kind of go over what it does real quick in case you're not. So before the game, let me see. After all other terrain features are set up, but before you choose a territory or set your army up, you can set up one Gnarl Maw anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 1 inch away from any other terrain pieces, okay? And what it's going to do for you is Anthropic Chime. So in their charge phase, Nurgle units that are within 7 of any Feculent Narwhal can attempt to charge even if they ran. So it gives your guys running charge as long as they're within 7. They're the charge phase, which is what we really are looking to use it for, right? And it also has another ability, Sickness Blossoms, at the start of your hero phase. Roll a dice each time. I'm sorry, let me start over. Roll a dice for each unit within 3 inches of the Gnarl Maw. On a 4-up, that unit suffers a mortal wound. Nurgle units aren't affected by it. In reality, this does almost nothing. I mean, every once in a while it'll pop a mortal wound on something, but for some reason people are terrified of these trees, so you can kind of mind screw people with these by placing them by their, in their way and by their stuff. They don't like to be by them. It's the creepy little pustules, I think. So, I mean, the reason I bring that up is, you're going to put one kind of in the middle of the board, usually, so that you can get that running charge off. The only other way I ever use them is sometimes I'll put them closer to me or my objectives and kind of wait for the enemy to come to me and use it there for the running charge. It just depends on what you're facing, right? If you're up against Alpha Strike or something really quick, you might want to put it closer to you. That way you can kind of counter strike with the running charge. Also, Nurgle's Allegiance ability is the pus wheel, or whatever it's called. What is it called? Cycle of Corruption. So, you start on a random spot, and then each turn you move to a new spot, and it's a different ability every time. There's a spell that you can cast to change the wheel to what you want, and we're going to use that, of course, some. I guess real quick I'll just run through what the abilities on the wheel are in case you're unfamiliar with the Nurgle. So the first spot is +2 to move, so that helps out Nurgle a lot because a lot of their units are slow. So our boys here are movement 5 on the War Scroll. They're going to get +3 from the Doom's Bell, so that puts them at 8, and then they're going to get +2 potentially from the wheel if we're setting it to this one for 10. So 10 movement is a lot better than 5, right? And then if we strategically place our trees, we're going to get 10 movement, run and charge. So 16 potentially with a command point, plus you can charge after that. So pretty quick for big boys. The second slot on the wheel is add 1 to wound rolls for all Nurgle units. So that's always helpful. 3 is roll a dice for each unit within 1 of a terrain feature at the start of your hero phase. On a roll of 5 or more, it suffers 1 wound. Nurgle units heal 1 wound instead. The next one, reroll battle shock test rolls of 1 for enemy units, excluding Nurgle units. The 5th one is reroll wound rolls of 6 or more for attacks made by enemy units, excluding Nurgle units, of course. I mean, if you have that one and you give your guy the Wither Stave instead of the Tome of 1,000 Poxes, that's a pretty potent combo, because your enemies are now rerolling 6s both to hit and wound. And then your last choice is at the start of your hero phase, pick D3 different enemy units, excluding Nurgle units, within 12 of each other. Each suffer D3 mortal wounds. So it's a pretty nice little mortal wound splash. And then the 7th, and so this is the only one that you can't generate randomly. So you would have to, it either has to naturally move through the course of the game onto this one, or you have to move it to this one with your spell, and that is Nurgle units heal D3 wounds at the start of the hero phase. Alright, so that's the wheel, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, but just in case we got a newer player or someone new to Nurgle, I wanted to kind of go through real quick. The other thing is Nurgle generates corruption points. I think that, I don't know the exact name, something, pussy droplets, goo balls, let's see, where is it? I don't know. It'll come to me sooner or later. Contagion points. Okay. So you generate contagion points through different things. So, like if you have no enemy models in your deployment zone, or you have people in theirs, or I'm not going to go through all the scenarios, but you gain points every turn. And the trees give you a chance for more points, and you can use those points to summon. I think Nurgle might be the least reliable summoning mechanic out of the 4 gods. Him and Tzeentch are definitely the lesser of the two. Slaanesh is awesome at summoning, and so is Khorne, but you can summon. So by the end of the game, you probably will be able to summon a unit or two, so keep that in mind. I mean, I would think of it more kind of as a bonus with Nurgle, and not something you're going to rely on unless you specifically build a list to do that, and this is definitely not a list to do that specifically, so it'll just be kind of a bonus maybe to get some plague bears or something to hop on an objective at the end of the game maybe. Okay, anyway, so now we've kind of gone down that sidetrack for a little while. Let's get back to our list here. So this is our main, this is really our army. It's going to do a lot of damage. People are going to be gunning at it. It's half your points, so and all of your fun. No, it's gonna. This is pretty awesome though, right? 3 big demons. So we still need a lot of stuff though. So let's look at our battle line here and see what we're gonna do. What do we want? Let's see. We want, what we want. We want some plague bears, right? And we want a ton of plague bears. We want 30. Alright, so we want 30 plague bears. Why do we want 30 plague bears? So we want 30 plague bears because they're really tough. Let's go through their stats real quick. Movement of 4, but we've already talked about some ways to make them a little bit faster. 5 up save, but they have disgusting resilience, which we'll get to in a second. Bravery 10, 1 wound each. Plague sword is their melee weapon. It's their only attack. It's 1 inch range, 1 attack, 4s and 3s, no rend, and 1 damage. So pretty blah, but that's not why we want them. They have the normal demon thing where if they roll a 1 on their battle shock, you can bring D6 models back, which is pretty sexy with these guys. And I think the rest of their stuff's not too important for leaders and stuff. +1 attack, I think. Reroll battle shocks of 1 for enemy units within 6 for the Piper. Okay, so they do have disgustingly resilient though, so roll a dice each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound, and on a 5-up it's negated, so it's pretty awesome. Locus of Fecundity, I always mispronounce that word, Fecundity I think. Reroll save rolls at 1 for this unit while it is within 7 inches of a Nurgle demon hero, so that's pretty cool. But the real reason we love these guys is their Cloud of Flies ability. Subtract 1 from hit rolls of attacks that target this unit in the shooting phase. If this unit contains 20 or more models, subtract 2 from the hit rolls that target this unit in the shooting phase. And 1 from the hit rolls that target this unit in the combat phase. So with 30, they're -2 to shoot at and -1 in the combat phase. 30 of them, disgustingly resilient, and potentially re-rolling save rolls of 1. They are pretty hard to move once they dig in somewhere, but you know what? We're gonna be jerks, and we want them to be unmovable. So we're gonna get a Lord of Blights here, and Lord of Blights is a mortal hero. Okay, so he's got, let's go through his stats real quick. 4-up move, 4-up save, 4-up move, 4-inch move, 9 bravery, 7 wounds. He's got a missile attack, 14 inches, 1 attack, 3-up, -3 rend, and D3 damage. So there's only one of them, but if it hits, it's gonna get through probably, right? He has an ability that he can hand out a shooting attack to Blight Kings, but we're not running any Blight Kings, so we're not worried about that. He has a Vermid Shield. In the combat phase, reroll save rolls of 1 for this model. So he's rerolling save rolls 1, that's good. He's also got a melee attack with his Bubotic Hammer. 1 inch, 3 attacks, 3-up, -1, 2 damage. So he's not bad in a fight. But that's not why we want to bring him along. The reason we want to bring him is for his command ability. So he's got a command ability, Plague of Flies. Pick a friendly Nurgle unit within 21 until your next hero phase. Subtract 1 from the hit rolls of attacks that target this unit in the shooting phase. If it contains 20 or more models, subtract 2 from the hit rolls in the shooting and 1 from in the combat phase. So it's basically the same thing that they already have, except now you're gonna double it. So -4 to hit in shooting, -2 to hit in the combat phase. Disgustingly resilient, potentially re-rolling save rolls of 1. So we're going to put him in with these guys, and wherever we put them on the board they're going to stay there probably. I mean, your opponent's probably just going to ignore them and just say you own that piece of the board, right? I mean, they're just too hard to deal with. Some people, if people want, and if people send stuff into them, great. They're going to be there all game trying to get rid of those guys. So yeah, they're not going anywhere. So most of the list that run the Threefold Befoulment don't run the Lord of Blights, and they run 2 big blocks of Plague Bearers, which is probably the better way to go. I mean, if you want to just strictly net list it, I hate to say net list because I mean, a lot of us play this game and we all look at the same books, and we can tell what's good and what's not good. So I'm sure when you get your Corn book and you read through it, you could tell that Gore Pilgrims was probably the best battalion. I mean, so when people say, oh, it's just a net list, it kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit, but this is a popular list, so and it's good, so good players will be good with it. Anyway, but a lot of them run 2 big blocks of Plague Bearers. I usually just run 1, and it's because I like to have a little bit of mobility to do some other things, because I feel like when you run the 2 blocks, A, people can still get through them. I mean, they're a pain in the butt, but people can still get through them, and B, that's your whole army. You don't have any room to do anything else, so you kind of put your guys out there, your Plague Bearers, and then you take your 3 big unclean ones, and go out and do stuff, but you're kind of stuck wherever you start with your plague bearers, if that makes sense. So yeah, you're on 2 objectives, and then you send out your big boys to go try to get the 3rd one or whatever. But I don't know. I don't like to kind of be stuck like that. I like to be able to move around a little bit. So we're going to do it a little bit different. So speaking of doing it a little bit different, let's see. Let's get our other battle line units here. So we got our unmovable block. So like I said, most people are just going to look at that and be like, okay, good job. You can have whatever that is. We're going to fight over the other stuff, right? So that's cool. That's what we want. So what else do we have? Oh, we're going to have to leave Nurgle. Leave Nurgle? Oh, no, we're not. Okay, so we're going to get some Chaos Warriors. So we're going to take two units of 5 Chaos Warriors. Okay, and I feel like Chaos Warriors get kind of overlooked a lot because they're an old kid and not as flashy as some of the other stuff, but they're pretty solid for 90 points. So we're going to run those guys to fill our battle. They're also the cheapest battle line choice we have right now. So they've got a 5-inch move, 4 up save, 6 bravery, 2 wounds each. I like to use the great blades with them, believe it or not. You can go for the shield. Shield. So what the shield does is it gives them a mortal wound save. So chaos rune shields. Every time you suffer a mortal wound on a 5 or 6, that wound is ignored. If I'm running them in big blocks, I like to go with the shields to make them more defensible. But we're using these guys more as either chaff or to go grab an objective. And I like to give them the great blades with the red to have a little punch in case they need to clear off like a solitary hero or a unit of skeletons, small unit skeleton. Anyway, I mean, you know what I'm saying. Like some infantry unit is on an objective late in the game or whatever. These guys can run out there and with the great blades punch through them. So the great blade is 1-inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 damage. They don't have anything else too crazy going on. I mean, if you take a big block of them, they get some bonuses, but we're not doing that. So really, like I said, so we could run the second block of plague bearers and have 2 pretty hard pretty hard units to get through, right? But we would lose our Lord of Blights and our Chaos Warriors or whatever. And it would be, like if you want to play more of a defensive game, then go with that. But like I said, I just don't like to be locked into wherever I set them up. So I do this, and usually late in the game, you can get a 10 block of plague bearers with your summoning point to grab an objective also. So kind of keep that in mind. So let's see, where are we at? Well, we're at 1840. So here's the last part of our list, and this is kind of what makes our list. I don't want to say makes our list work, but this is why we can get away with running our Chaos Warriors. We're gonna have some allies. Uh-oh. What are you doing, wizard? You're crazy. You're crazy, man. Let's see. What the hell? There we go. Alright. So we're gonna run 2 blocks of Centaurs. No, I'm not crazy. I haven't lost my mind. Alright, so this is how we're going to use the Centaurs here. Let's go through their stat line real quick. 14-inch move. That's why we're taking them. They're fast and they can run and charge. If they have a bray horn, so their musician gives them run and charge. So we got 14-inch move. They got a 5-up save, which becomes a 4-up, I think, with a shield, maybe? Yeah, add 1 of the save rolls in melee. So we're going to give them shields. They're going to be 4-up in melee. So 5-up save, 4-up in melee, 5 bravery, which is terrible, but we don't need them to stay around too long. And they got 2 wounds each, so we got 10 wounds for 80 points. That's moving 14 inches. It can run and charge. Okay. The banner bearer, what does he do? It can move an extra inch when it runs or piles in, so we're at 15. Alright, so they're going to have their spears, 2-inch range, 2 attacks, 4 up, no rend, 1 damage. Their clawed limbs, 1-inch range, 2 attacks, 5s and 5s, 1 damage, no rend. Okay, so we're not taking them to be offensive. They're going to be offensive, but they're not going to do any damage, right? Charging spears, you can reroll failed wound rolls for attacks made with this unit's spears if it made a charge. So they're rerolling their wound rolls. Drunken revelry. Sorry. At the start of your hero phase, you can say this unit is drinking wildly. If you do so until your next hero phase, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit and attacks that target it. So you're going to get +1 to hit, but you're going to give +1 to hit, right? Whatever, we don't care about that. We care about 10 wounds that we can fling across the board as chaff and lock stuff up for 1 round of combat, right? That's all these guys are doing. So 14 inches or 15 with the banner. They can run and charge. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, I have to do that. 21 if we use a command point for the run. So, I mean, they can get out. What we're going to do with these guys is block stuff, right? We're going to block stuff for a round while our big boys go out and are killing whatever we need. So, that's the game plan. Is we're going to throw some Centaurs at whatever the most dangerous stuff that we don't think we can get to right now is. To lock them up for a round of combat. We're going to sit on an objective with our plague bearers, and that's ours now. No one's going to be able to move. I mean, if they're going to put enough resources to move this, then that means they're going to be open somewhere else, okay? Then we're going to go start killing off stuff with this, right? And then we're going to use our 2 Chaos Warrior blocks to kind of follow up behind and claim objectives or maybe bump people off of objectives later in the game. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at here. It's probably not the most optimized version of this list, but it's a little bit different, and I like the mobility, and to play it a little bit more offensively, right? So our defensive part is just this 1 block, and then we can get out there and do some work with these guys. All right, so. Sorry again for all the crazy noises and sounds. Hopefully it's not too distracting. I'm going to go back and listen to it before I put it out there, but the odds of me spending time editing one of these videos is not good. So I appreciate you suffering through it in advance. So I think that's it. So this is Tres Hombres. Threefold Befoulment. And that's an old ZZ Top song for you youngsters out there. Go listen to it. I think that's going to be it for here. So, like I said, if you want to get super competitive, maybe look at the other block of plague bearers. But I really think this one gives you some more options with the Centaurs. A lot of people, I think, get twisted up with you have to kill the big blocks of witch elves and stuff. I mean, you just need to tie them up for a round or 2 until you can do the other things you need to do. So keep that in mind. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully the puppy and the larger pit bull, the puppy, the phone, and all that wasn't too bad. But anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.